These are the 40 Vegas buffets that corporate greed killed, transforming a $1 meal into an $85 luxury experience that's pricing out regular people. What started as an accidental invention by a hungry publicist has become the latest casualty in the war between profit margins and the soul of Las Vegas, the birthplace of the all-you-can-eat buffet. Let me take you back to 1946. Herbert Cobb McDonald is working late at the Rancho Vegas, the very first resort hotel on what would become the Strip. He's hungry, so he grabs some cheese and cold cuts and lays them out on the bar to make himself a sandwich. Simple, right? But then something magical happens. Gamblers walking by see his improvised meal and say they're hungry too. McDonald, being the savvy promoter he was, realizes he stumbled onto something revolutionary. He sets up a simple array of snacks, cheese, cold cuts, salads, available around the clock for just $1. Maybe $1.25 depending on which historical account you believe. Either way, we're talking about 16 to 20 bucks in today's money. This wasn't just any meal service. This was the birth of the loss leader strategy that would define Vegas hospitality for decades. Here's the best part. El Rancho lost money on every single person who ate at that buffet, but they made it back tenfold because those same people stayed in the casino longer, played more slots, and never had to leave the building for dinner. It was the perfect scenario. Lose a few bucks on food to keep the gambling revenue flowing. McDonald's genius wasn't just inventing the Vegas buffet. This was the same promotional mastermind who brought the Beatles to Las Vegas in 1964. And his buffet concept drew inspiration from the Swedish smorgasbord tradition that captivated Americans at the 1939 World's Fair, adapting it perfectly for the gambling environment of mid-century Vegas. The strategy worked so well that every other casino on the Strip started copying it. Soon, nearly every hotel had their own version of the midnight buffet. For over 75 years, this became the Vegas trademark, the place where you could eat like a king without breaking the bank. But let's jump to today's brutal reality. Prior to COVID, there were over 50 casino buffets in the Las Vegas Valley. Today, only 7 buffets remain on the Strip, where 18 once stood. Yeah, only 7. That's more than a 60% slaughter of what made Vegas accessible to regular people. The ones that survived? They're not the same. The Bacchanal buffet at Caesars will run you $85. The Wynn buffet hits $80. Even the Excalibur, which used to be the budget option, now charges up to $44 for weekend service. The Sterling brunch at Bally's, $100 per person, making it the most expensive buffet in Vegas. Remember when buffet prices ranged from $25 to $100? Well, that $25 option is becoming as extinct as the dodo bird. The new floor seems to hover around $35 to $50, and that's if you're lucky enough to find one open on the day you want to eat. So what happened? 2 words: corporate consolidation. When Eldorado Resorts completed their $17.3 billion takeover of Caesars in July 2020, the writing was on the wall. Tom Reeg, Eldorado's CEO who took the helm at Caesars, made his position crystal clear. We're going to be smarter about where we are in the food and beverage business. We're not bleeding $3 million in every buffet in the country. But it wasn't just Caesars. Station casinos, the locals' favorite, systematically shuttered their buffets across all their properties. Boyd Gaming followed suit, eliminating most of their buffet operations except for Main Street Station. When you have 3 major operators controlling most of the Las Vegas market, they can collectively reshape the entire dining landscape to maximize profits. Think about that statement for a moment. These corporations are literally calling the original Vegas experience, the thing that made Las Vegas special, a financial hemorrhage that needs to be stopped. Chad Bynan, a gaming analyst at Macquarie Securities, put it even more bluntly. If you have more properties, you can analyze the numbers and look at how unprofitable these buffets are. The decision to move away from buffets was purely driven by the bottom line. These massive corporations can crunch numbers across dozens of properties and have determined that buffet space generates more profit when converted to literally anything else. COVID gave them the perfect excuse. When Nevada casinos shut down for 78 days in 2020, every buffet closed. But here's the thing, they didn't have to stay closed. Restaurants reopened, other food services came back online. But the buffets? Most never returned because the corporate accountants had finally found their moment to axe what they'd always considered dead weight. The legendary Carnival World Buffet at Rio, a 300-item monster that defined Vegas excess, gone forever. The resorts with shuttered buffets include the Mirage, Paris, Treasure Island, Harrah's, and Planet Hollywood. Mandalay Bay and the Flamingo closed theirs and aren't expected to reopen them. We recently lost the Luxor Buffet and Westgate's Fresh Buffet permanently. Even Caesars, the company that runs the massive Bacchanal Buffet, has eliminated buffets from every other property they own. Bacchanal is literally the only buffet left across all Caesars Entertainment properties. The numbers tell the story of corporate domination. MGM has 37,243 rooms on the main resort corridor, representing 40.4% of supply. Caesars has 20,630 hotel rooms on or near the Strip, accounting for 22.4% of total supply. Together, these two giants manage 16 casino hotels and 5 non-gaming hotels. When just two companies control that much of the market, they can reshape the entire Vegas experience to maximize their profits. And maximize they have. CBRE estimates that MGM could pick up an additional $69 to $102 million of annualized revenue by eliminating buffets. Caesars could potentially generate $31 to $49 million of incremental profit. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that these corporations are prioritizing over maintaining the Vegas traditions that made the city famous. But here's what really gets me fired up. They're not just killing buffets, they're gaslighting us about why. They'll tell you it's about evolving dining preferences or providing more diverse culinary experiences. What they're really doing is replacing affordable, accessible dining with expensive food halls and upscale restaurants that price out regular people. Take Ario's transformation. In December 2022, they replaced their buffet with something called Proper Eats Food Hall. Instead of one price for unlimited food, now you're paying premium prices for individual meals from multiple vendors. It's the same corporate trend that's infected airports and shopping malls. Take something simple and affordable, dress it up, and charge 3 times as much. The Cosmopolitan started this trend back in August 2018 with their Block 16 Urban Food Hall. Park MGM followed in December 2018 with Eataly. Now these food halls are being positioned as the sophisticated replacement for the supposedly outdated buffet model. Here's what real people are saying about this change. One former 7-star player put it perfectly. That was the last straw for me, especially since they closed down all the Laurel lounges and removed every buffet except for one. Another longtime Vegas visitor wrote, "Vegas will never be the same, as big corps have taken out all the charm of what made it great. Now it's bring your money and pay, pay, pay." A retired bartender who worked at Bally's for 30 years offered this insight. Over the past years, they implemented a light system to let the bartenders know if they can comp a drink to our active guests playing at the bar. This was never an issue 40 to 50 years ago when the town was run by real businessmen and not corporate a-holes. So Vegas used to be run by people who understood that sometimes you lose money on one thing to make money on another. The buffet was never supposed to be profitable. It was supposed to be the hook that got you in the door and kept you gambling. But today's corporate overlords don't think that way. Every square foot has to generate maximum revenue. Every service has to show immediate profit. The idea of a loss leader, which built Las Vegas into what it became, is now considered poor business practice by execs who've never understood what made Vegas special in the first place. The irony is thick. Herb McDonald, the guy who accidentally invented the Vegas buffet, died in 2002 at age 83. Jim Seagrave, a longtime Vegas marketing executive, said of him, "He was the godfather to all of us in Las Vegas publicity and marketing. He made the footprints that we follow today." But the corporations that now control Vegas aren't following those footprints. They're paving over them with concrete. Let's talk about what we've actually lost. The Village Seafood Buffet at Rio opened in 1997 and was legendary until it closed in 2015. The Bacchanal Buffet, which opened in 2012 as the buffet to end all buffets, underwent a $2.4 million renovation in 2020, only to become one of the last survivors in an increasingly barren landscape. These weren't just restaurants, they were experiences. The Bacchanal Buffet offered over 250 menu items and 9 chef-attended action stations. You could spend hours exploring different cuisines, trying things you'd never order otherwise, eating until you were satisfied without calculating the cost of every bite. That experience is now reserved for people who can afford $85 per person. A family of 4 looking at a $340 food bill before drinks, tax, and tip. Compare that to McDonald's original vision, a place where anyone could eat well for the price of a movie ticket. The surviving buffets are desperately trying to justify their existence through premium positioning. They're adding more exotic ingredients, featuring celebrity chefs, and creating Instagram-worthy presentations. The Wynn Buffet markets itself as a luxury experience. Bacchanal emphasizes its high-end renovations and premium ingredients. But here's what they're missing. The magic of the Vegas buffet was never about luxury. It was about abundance and accessibility. It was about regular people feeling like high rollers for an hour or two. It was about families being able to afford a special meal in a special place. The buffets aren't coming back. The corporations have tasted those improved profit margins and they're not giving them up. What we're witnessing isn't just the end of an era. It's the complete corporate colonization of an experience that once belonged to everyone. That's how you kill the $1 meal. Not with a single decision, but with 1,000 small cuts, each justified by corporate speak about efficiency and modernization, until something beautiful and accessible becomes expensive and exclusive. The Vegas buffet is dead, and corporate greed pulled the trigger.